Okay, everybody, here we are again with another, I'm going to say, exciting day of looking back through history and realizing I'm really old and just seeing all the kind of cool, fun stuff I used to do and a lot of pictures I used to take and just how terrible I was at it. Um, it's kind of a, I guess, fun look through history and seeing who we got to meet, who we got to do all the fun stuff with, and yeah, I don't know, just some fun because there's nothing else to do these days, and certainly not driving cars. All right, so first up, we have Mr. Casey Torres. Casey, um, his car went through a lot of, I guess, transition stages. Again, another problem with bumpers because that seems to be the S13 life. Um, but always out for a good time, always having fun. Crashed a lot, broke fenders a lot. He used to show up periodically on, I don't know what he towed it with, but it was a, I'm gonna say 12 or 13-foot single axle trailer, and it scared the crap out of me. And watching him get the car off the trailer was more scary than watching the car come in on the trailer, because it involved like 2x6s and jack stands, and it was a debacle to get it off. Hilarious to watch. They got it off every time, but still blew my mind. So let's have Nick Schnell. I think this was a S13 coupe with bolt-in cage and I believe a 1J. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what was. I think it was a 1J in the car. Um, Somebody will correct me, hopefully. Another great guy to hang out with. I think he lives in Colorado or something now. He's into, I don't know, other stuff, bikes and. Anyway, here's Seth. Seth is a bit of a madman. This was a Corolla with an SR20 that was in his 240 before he crashed it. It made probably around 300 horsepower. It was a 2871 on an SR. Good fun power. But he had fabricated an S13 suspension into the front of the car. It was a crazy little car, had a lot of grip and a lot of snap under, like, I don't know how to, it would snap straight a lot. He drove the crap out of this car though. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't remember what happened. I think he crashed it into something and then parted the car out and sold it, and I don't know exactly what happened with it, but oh, there's Mr. Gwag staring at his picture. That looks like, I think that was Kenneth. I think that was his name. Another just pretty simple SR car. Always coming out to have fun. Was at every event. I mean, those were the days, like pretty simple little cars and just run with them. Oh, the Josh. So this was Josh's first foray into, I'm going to say fun cars because he had a Corolla before this. But this was probably a couple of years in now. New wheels, tires, suspension stuff. I think this was tuned on Microtech at the time. That was a fun car. I think it was, yeah. A big part of our friendship was that car and all the dumb stuff we used to do with cars. This looks like, oh, this was autocross. I have no idea how I ended up at an autocross event. Not a normal thing for me. I just really have no idea. Like, clearly this was fun. Like, in the wet, lifting tire. Not too shabby. Integra. Guess that's a knockoff Integra Type R. Wonder what was in that car. 5 log and everything, so maybe. Who knows? Oh, Big John. Big John was another one of my Skyline friends, I'm going to say. He had a white R32 GTR. It was a big Veilside car. I think he originally bought it from a guy in Ontario and then sold it back to a guy in Ontario about 7 or 8 years later. Didn't drive it a whole lot. Ended up in the midst of that, I think he got married and traveled the world with his wife. And I think he's a pastor now somewhere. I don't know. Somebody will correct me. Anyway, he's got a white Land Cruiser now, which I love. And I see pictures of that all the time and going out on adventures and doing fun stuff. So the times change, but people don't. Right, John? Oh, now here's Little John. I don't know who's driving Little John's car because he's in the passenger seat. Interesting. This was a island-built car with an RB25 in it, I think, and it had the weirdest rear fender setup. They didn't cut the fenders out to put the quarters on. They just rolled and pulled them to the great beyond. I don't know why. Cutting them seemed a whole lot easier, but that's what they did. Oh, Bremerton. That brings me back. I think I started going down Bremerton in probably 06, 07. It was an old, I think it was an old airstrip or something. Anyway, it was very much like Boundary Bay was here for us. But it was not the greatest surface. I remember that. It was pretty chunked up even back then. So I don't know what it's like now or if anybody even runs there anymore. Or John, I think. I think this was the school day where I rode down with John. Yeah, that looks like Mike Phillips in the car with him. So this is John learning how to drift. Oh, and this is Angela's car. So this would be a KA S13. I think at the time, yeah, this would be a KA car. And I think that's Nikolai in the driver's seat. Could be wrong. Angela had this car for I don't know how many years. She only recently got rid of it when she and Matt moved to Arizona. But it's definitely a piece of the Northwest history. This car, yeah, I mean this was 10 years ago, and it was still going when she sold it. So crazy little car. Oh, there's Gleb teaching somebody. So, funny thing there, those are 4-lug Sentra SER wheels. Oh, Nikolai in a Corolla, or not, passenger seat of a Corolla. Go that way. Always look where you're going, not at Nikolai's hand. This was Mike in his car, teaching John, I guess, the finer tuning things. Sometimes it's just easier to get in your own car and drive it and show somebody what you're trying to teach them than it is to drive in their car and show them. More of Angela driving. Couldn't tell you who that was. Wow. Cressida. I should know who that is. No idea. More John. Oh, there's Matt Panic. That's an old picture. Oh, of course, Matt in a Corolla. Who'd have figured? Matt in a Miata. When it comes to low-powered cars, especially when I say low-powered momentum cars, I can't think of a better person driving them. Matt he's been doing it for 20 years now, 15 years at least. He's so smooth and so precise. He's just very good at momentum cars. It's just I don't know. You're going to fight me on that one. He's probably one of the best momentum car drivers I've ever driven with or watched drive or anything. Oh, Sean. I love this car. I love this car right until the point where he wadded it up to a wall. I think it was a wall. I don't remember. Tire, maybe. This had an RB26 in it, I think. Made really good, like, probably around 400 horse. Pretty good power. Had big wheels on it, big tires. It's just such a pretty car. Yeah, I don't really know much else what to say. Just a beautiful, I guess, rendition of an S13. Yeah, just always looked so cool. Oh, here's heading down, I think. Yeah, well, this was back when Ian Street drove his car still. Yes. Formula Drift stickers and everything. Street driving his car down the I-5. I think we were going down to PGP. So this would have been 4-hour drive, 4.5-hour drive, somewhere in there. In a fully fledged, like, fully caged drift car going down the road. But I guess, like, those were the days. Like, those were the days where the cars, I mean, his car really wasn't set up great for drifting. It was more about the look at that point. But we had a lot of fun. Yeah. Oh, Roland Gallagher, another Formula D driver, or ex-Formula D driver, I should say. I don't think he still has that car, but he has another very similar car with a really cool SR in it. If you ever get a chance to look at it, take a look. It's a really cool little build, and it makes like a beautiful little power band. I love that thing. This was Gleb's Dolphin car. I think it was called the Blue Dolphin. No, maybe this wasn't the Blue Dolphin. I don't know. He always had fucking different cars. Yeah. Gleb. Oh, an evolution of Lucas's car with Nikolai riding shotgun. Mike Phillips. I think this was Victor Moore. This was another stage of the KP race car, because he was doing Formula D2. So this was, I think this was pre-wrap. This was just like a really cool little, like, you can see the ghost stuff on the side of the car. I think later, yeah, pretty sure later in life they did like a really cool, like, graphical wrap on it. But we'll see. I'll find that picture eventually, I think. That'll help. Well, yes, you hate the haters. Or love the haters. Sorry. That's my bad. I don't remember. I think we took the shot for like his driver profile or something. But always going to be laugh. I love the haters. This was right before he went V8. Pretty sure. Oh, so this is Gerard's second X8, I think. This was where they developed all the X8 bodywork on this car. So it was kind of a test mule. It had a, I believe at the time, I think this was a 1J in this car. I don't know. It's too hard to keep track anymore. But yeah, 1J car. All, like, pretty much the entire line of Serial Line products that they had at the time. I think he still worked at Mopac. That was his day job. So he worked at Mopac, Kevin worked landscaping, and then they went and worked on Serial Line stuff until the wee hours of the morning and started all over again. Worked hard to get where they are, and they're doing pretty great right now. I hope, anyway. Nope, Kevin. Oh, this is our one. Yeah. This was probably one of my favorite Kevin drift cars, because he drove the absolute snot out of this thing. I think this was Pat Lee. Yeah, it looks like Pat Lee. Pat had a bunch of different cars at this point in his life. I couldn't keep track, but I remember the rear fender here, because he had to rivet on a rear fender from a different car because they'd cut this out for over fenders, whoever owned it previously. PGP was probably one of my favorite tracks to go see. Tight little go-kart track, lots of fun. Not like there's no like high speed, crazy, smoky runs most of the time. These were all low powered drift cars, but like usually had 3-4 car trains going around the track like this, and just it was a blast. Like, I miss it. I really do miss it. I think that was Nikolai and Chris. Yes, another one of Nikolai's cars. He has had many. I think it was a KA car, just pretty simple little car. This is Matt Panic Corolla. He drove this right up until I think he got the Celica. Another fun little car. There's Rob Primo's 240SX, not 240SX right-hand drive. So this was a really mint, let's say grandma-owned 240SX that he bought, and then he bought a front clip and cut the whole firewall out, swapped to the right-hand drive, firewalls. Did a lot of work to this car, and just did like it was an SR with welded diff, and I think this car ended up with a 350Z box. But this was his street car. Drove it everywhere. That's more Pat. Yeah, that's Pat Lee. There's Big Rob. Rob's like 7 feet tall. Kevin and Nikolai. Oh, here we are back at Evergreen with Seth and his Corolla. Oh, I don't know. I put a blurry picture in here. That's Tyler Grimsley. I'm sure I've got more of him. There's Mark. I've known Mark probably since 2004-ish. I think it was probably one of the first events we did at Boundary Bay Airport. Yeah, it's got to be around there. Around 2004, 2005, somewhere in there. But again, like this was still an SR car. Well, the diff cage. Car made about 300 horsepower, somewhere there. Mark has probably the coolest collection of Advan tri-spoke wheels I've ever. You'll see him at the track, and he whips out he'll whip these, I'm going to say, historical wheels out. They're off the old S15 HKS car from D1. I don't know how he got them, but he found them somewhere and bought them. Oh, I think it was, I think his name was Ronan. Yeah. Again, pretty simple little car, just big kit, which he smashed to bits all the time and would fall off going down the front street and stuff. Seth, new person in the drift office car. I think this was Austin. Not sure. It's gotta be. I think it was Austin. More Kenneth. I think that was. Oh, Miata Mike. Mike had a turbo. It was the turbo Miata. I think it was turbo at the time. Drove the wheels off this thing for literally years, and then one day just stopped drifting. I actually ran into him on a Nissan Xterra group I got invited to. So he's into Xterras and 4x4ing and overlanding and stuff like that now. But it was kind of good to see him again and say hi. Another rendition of Andrew Coombs' practice car. So this was before, I think, his big build. Pretty sure this was still an SR. I don't know. But yeah, he did. Yeah, I think this was still an SR car, and this did XDC and Evergreen Pro-Am and stuff like that. It was a good fun car. Not more of Nick Schnell. Kohei. Kohei was just entertaining. Probably one of the most like raw, talented drivers I've ever met. Really, just like, he had no idea what he was doing half the time. Like, never checked the tire pressure he had in the car. Never did any of that, and managed to win multiple events at Evergreen, like Pro-Am stuff, whatever. Drove the wheels off this car. Just a very naturally talented guy. And just continued on this car until it basically died. I think it broke a piston or something one day. I can't remember. But no idea where the car went. Kohei moved on to bigger and better things in life, and I don't know. It'd be fun to see him back in a drift car. I don't know who that was, but I remember the car. I love the car. I'll run in. Oh, I think this was, yeah, Nick Jimenez. Jimenez. I'm going to get that name wrong. He did Pro-Am and stuff too. I think he worked at Intech at the time. Oh, this is going to be a blast from the past. Andrew Larson. So those of you that remember will understand why this is entertaining to me. I'll see if the picture's in here. I think I have the picture in here, but here's Andrew Larson, pre-Andrew Larson. Mark Casey Torres. I can never remember this guy's name. I don't know why, but I do remember he'd always show up to drift days with boxes of expired chips. Like potato chips. And he'd just hand them out to everybody. No idea why he had them or why he was handing them out, but that's what I remember him. Oh, I think that was Kelly. Other Corolla guy. Don't know what happened to him. Just disappeared one day. Mike Phillips. Kohei and Mike. Oh, Matt Risher. Matt's been through some shit. But probably one of the longest standing members of the drift community. He's been the announcer, as you can see here. He's been a driver. He's worked. He did some announcing with Jared from Formula D for an event or two, I think. But yeah, he's been through some shit, and I don't know. I love hanging out with him. He comes out for Nissan Fest every year, and but miss you, Matt. You'll probably never see this, but I do miss you. We'll see you soon, I hope. Mike winning, Kohei, yep. One doesn't know what's going on. Hi, Kohei. Oh, Russell without his big hair. That was a change. If you remember my last video, you saw him with all the big hair. Oh, right. Rob Primo. Don't know how he convinced somebody to let him do this, but it was hilarious to watch. Oh, so this was probably one of my first second or third year of Formula D. But this was Oswald's first year, and no, this might have been the second year. I can't remember for sure, but this car was held together by hopes and dreams. Like, literally held together by duct tape and zip ties. No idea how he did as well as he did, but that man is magical. Yeah, around like the 5/8 bank with, essentially a stock 2J with a turbo, like a big turbo on it, and just made 500 or 600 horsepower and just literally sent it every time. Incredible driver. Just really has changed my aspect or my thoughts on Formula D when he showed up. Because when I started looking his car over, I was like, there's no way he's actually doing as well as he is, because it's held together by hopes and dreams. But they came in and just ran it and did awesome. Oh, well, if you look at the side of the car here, you're going to see a name you might remember. This is Jeff Jones. Yes, he's in an RX-7. Most people will know him for his Z days. He's got a supercharged LS in a 370Z now, I think. He's had a 350Z for, I think, a little while before that. But this was, 2010, this was Jeff Jones. So he's been competing for at least 10 years. And love the hood pins. Yeah. Oh, Ross Petty. I absolutely love this car. Ross was very true to his, like, I guess the Japanese style. This was an SR car. Really awesome paint job on this thing. And I'm pretty sure that was all paint. Anyway. Yeah. Ross was always a blast to watch drive, and his crew was always just the best. This is... Oh, I can't remember his name. I think it's Ray from Garage Auto Hero. I don't know why I can't remember his name. But probably one of the most iconic 510s to me in the Northwest is this car. It's perfect. It's just the way it is. And I hope he never changes it. Oh, Mad Mike's attempted FD. He wanted to show up with a really cool tow rig. So this is a fully bagged, like, dually truck. It's a 12 valve Cummins, not 12 valve, sorry. Cummins diesel, not 12 valve. But if you looked at the rear, it's a fully tube framed rear with a raised gooseneck hitch because of all the bags, and so we can drive it low and still tow a trailer. A really sick little build. I love this truck. No idea where it is now, but it was really cool. And then his RX-8 wasn't really ever, I'm going to say, a competitive drift car in Formula D, but it was probably one of the coolest looking cars of Formula D. And there's Dai's car. Dai, I think, was 2010. Dai was very competitive in these years in this car. Very simple car. Built LS in it, made probably 600 or 700 horsepower. Good suspension, tire setup, whatever. And it was just a well-built, well-put-together program. And they ran this car for, 4 or 5 seasons, like, barely ever changing it. More Ian, this was when we ran, like, Pro-Am with Formula D. Yeah. So this would have been, like, Thursday or Friday running Pro-Am. And there's Andrew Coombs' new car. So this is a fully PSI built, like LS3 or something motor. Strictly built this car for campaigning in Formula Drift. It made a lot of power. It was really fairly well built. No, this is, I think Mike Phillips was driving this car at this point. Yeah, looks right. Hi, Ian. Oh, there's two faces you'll never forget. Larry Chen and Antonio. Man, I haven't seen Antonio in years. He was one of the founders of Motor Mavens. Still runs around with him, I think. I don't know. I haven't followed much. Larry is doing Larry things. He has his own show on Hoonigan Network called Autofocus. Still does great, large amounts of photography work. And I don't know if he's the official Formula D photographer still or not. He might have given that up. I'm not 100% sure. Hi, Felicia. She looks so excited to be here. Oh, hi, Josh. And, whoa, even better. Hi, Josh. was a camera break to go clean them out because they get full of tire dust and all kinds of stuff while you're out there. Okay, Patrick and I have I'm going to say strange relationship. I basically show up to Formula D events when he worked for Formula D. I don't think he does anymore. But I would show up to Formula D events with 2 like giant tins of Tim Hortons coffee. Because Patrick loved Tim Hortons coffee and he hadn't had any since he moved out of Canada back to Montana. And so every year I'd restock him when he came to Seattle. Anyway, haven't seen you in a while, but hi, Patrick. Well, here we are. I think this was Forum Fest. No, it could be. Anyway, this is Brian Nash's car. Literally one of my favorite 300ZXs ever. It was just perfect. It didn't need anything. It had a nicely built motor in it, I think, at this point. Yeah. A nice set of wheels, coilovers, and he just kept this thing immaculately clean. You could eat off any part of this car. Like, literally any part of this car you could eat off of it. I think this was a Team Menace car. They were some guys that would roll around the Northwest and do car shows and stuff. Some more S14s, more drifting. Abbott's car. Okay, this was probably one of my favorite S13s that was ever around at this point. I don't know why. I love the wheels on it. And I have no idea who drove it. I cannot for life of me remember his name. But it was a beautiful red car with, like, it was, I don't know, simple and perfect. I will bet money on nobody knows who this is, but I think there's another picture of him later, so I'm going to wait. If you can guess, I'll be impressed. So here's why I said that the story of Andrew Coombs got better. This is Andrew Larson. Originally, we saw this stock 350Z drifting around Evergreen, doing 350Z things. This was, I'm going to say, a month later. Yeah. So he managed to drop a tire in the backside of, we are at Pacific Raceways. So on the backside of Pacific Raceways, it's a pretty high speed corner, and he dropped, I think it was a left rear tire into the gravel and rolled the cars off into the trees. Thankfully, he had his roll cage installed the week before, or this could have been a lot worse. Thankfully, he lived, and this is definitely not the end of Andrew Larson. So don't worry, he'll be back. This is just the beginning of Andrew Larson. But it was definitely a scary moment to see him roll a car multiple times off the track, doing drifting. I guess probably one of the worst accidents I'd seen, I guess, in grassroots. Like, I saw a couple in Formula D that were pretty bad, but nothing like this in person. Anyway, he was safe and sound. No real injuries. I think he was off to the hospital and we loaded his car up. Got it ready to go home. More drift off his car. So this was, I can't remember. I think this was Ken Vu or something. Sorry if I got that wrong. This was LS based car. I don't remember. I think he worked for Tyler Grimsley's dad. Anyway, awesome, like, fun little car. They had great fun. Came out and drove the car every time Tyler came, so pretty much every prom event. Another shot of my favorite car, hanging a bumper. More Tyler Grimsley. Tyler's car is a KAT car, it made a boatload of power. Boatload, I'm going to say 450, somewhere in there. But it really sounded cool. And I had no idea how or why, but it just sounded very different than most of the KAT cars that I had ever met or ever seen. But yeah. He and his dad campaigned this car in Pro-Am for, I'm going to say, at least 7 years. Well, at least 7 years until they finished their V8 builds. But all different. I'll get to that story one day. Oh, another shot of this car. Oh, it may not be who I think it was. We'll see. I'll see if I have a better picture of who's driving it. Anyway, more Nick Schnell. Oh, no. That's the end of Pacific Raceways. Yeah, I don't know who was driving that car at the time. Anyway, this is an event called SmackDown. They started this event to basically have a little fun between different forums in the Northwest. So they had autocross, drifting, and even like a short 8th mile drag, I think. This was all held at Packwood in Washington. And it's pretty much one different discipline every day. So Mark was Mark and just dominated drifting because that's what he does. Oh, yeah, Joey. This is another KAT car. So this would be more of the autocross stuff. So another... Oh, I always wanted one of these, and I have no idea why. I just really wanted like a B13 Sentra. And I really have no idea why, because they were not great cars. A really cool RX-7. I think this was an LS car, if my memory serves me, but that was 10 years ago. Anyway, I loved this FC. It was just, I guess, like pushed all my buttons in the right way. We brought, I'm going to say, a knife to a gunfight. So you show up with teams, and our team was the Midnighters. And I think this was Courtney driving, but this is PDM's car. So Don Nemi owns PDM Racing. And this was I believe SR powered car. It made probably around 400 horsepower, somewhere in there. But I mean, he was running 315s or something in the rear, and then like a 285, 295 in the front. Purposely built autocross car, and he and Courtney drove the piss out of this thing. They were very fast, very fun to drive or watch drive, but definitely we brought a knife to a gunfight in this one. He was, I guess you can call our ringer. Oh, there's me drifting. I don't remember who was taking pictures, but there's me drifting. Probably my second or third, maybe fourth drift event at this point. I was terrible, absolutely terrible. Spun everywhere, but I was having so much fun. And being I guess early in, it's been late 2010, so right-hand drive stuff was still pretty new in Canada and really new in the States. So I got a lot of people like, oh, can I come for a ride? And I was like, well, I suck, but sure. More Joey. I miss driving with Joey. He sold his car a couple of years ago. On to bigger and better life things. More Mark. More my dumbass. There's Seth driving. Yeah, I don't remember whose car that was. I think that was one of Don's cars, Don Nemi's cars. Maybe. Oh, Takeshi. So this was a 20 valve. I think this was a 20 valve at this point, Corolla. Seth is, or not Seth, Takeshi is the reason that my white 180 ran for as long as it did. He is such a meticulous person when it comes to maintenance, and I am not. So without him, I probably would have never lasted as long as I did in drifting or cars or anything. So thanks, Takeshi. Haven't seen him in a couple of years, but hopefully he gets back to it one day. More Joey. Oh, and that's we're at the end. Oh. Yeah, Packwood was fun until the drive home, where you have to drive 6.5 or 7 hours home, whatever the hell it was. I don't remember. It took us a long time to get home, and then I was maybe 5 minutes from home, and my alternator died, and then Mark had to go home, drop his car off. Well, he didn't have to, but he did. He went home and dropped his car off. Came back out to basically Langley from Burnaby and picked me up. And then drove me home and unloaded the car, and then drove himself back home. And anyway, yeah, that really just sucked at the end of such a really awesome trip. But yeah, that was 2010. And yeah, it was a good year. I liked it. Anyway, that's again for this one. And leave a comment, ask questions, do whatever. I might try live streaming the next one on Twitch or something if somebody else, or if somebody wants to watch and participate and ask questions and stuff like that. I'm more than willing to do that. But just kind of seeing where this goes. Anyway, have a good night.